and welcome to the Nucleus. Please join us in our dance.
We have enough energy to dance all day and night.
Just look at the sun if you don't believe me.
I'm Chris Conn and I'm the Director of Arts at Good to Great Schools Australia. E equals MC squared the musical is all about the famous equation, the work of Albert Einstein. And in the musical, the students discover what the meaning of this equation is, and they discover all of the elements that go to make the equation: energy, mass, the speed of light. The musical is a brand new piece of theatre that was developed by Good to Great Schools Australia, working with the students and staff and the whole community of Hopevale campus of the Cape York Aboriginal Australian Academy, which is a primary school out in Hopevale, which is 45 minutes drive north of Cooktown, which is 4 hours north of Cairns by road. So it's well and truly up Cape York Peninsula towards the pointy end. And Hopevale is a school of around about 120 students.
There's H for hydrogen,
He, helium,
Li lithium, Be beryllium.
So the musical charts the journey of 4 young science students who are presenting as part of their annual science fair. And I like to think of it as Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure meets Hamilton meets a TED Talk, because they get into a time machine and travel to different times and places throughout history where they meet famous scientists such as Michael Faraday, Émilie du Châtelet, Marianne and Antoine Lavoisier, Lisa Meitner and Otto Hahn, and of course Albert Einstein and his wife Mileva. And through travelling to all these times and places, they not only present the audience with the story of E equals MC squared, they unwittingly present Albert Einstein with the secret to the equation.
Berlin, Germany, 1907. Meitner thinks I'm a nerd. Heaven, she may be brilliant, but she's shy and nervous.
The idea of this musical is that it's part of the Aussie science curriculum that Good to Great Schools Australia is developing with the school. And it's a curriculum that includes physics and chemistry and all of the aspects of science that come under the Australian curriculum. And the musical is a family engagement and community engagement part of that. So the idea is that every year or two, the school will present this musical, and in doing so, the students engage with their learning with their families, with the teachers who also perform in the musical. So it's a way of embedding that learning within the community, and it's also a way of embedding that learning within the voices and bodies of the students in a way that we hope means that it's a deeper way of learning that will ensure that they remember this information about physics for many years to come. The younger students were in a scene where they played elements or atoms or protons, neutrons and electrons. And so they learnt things that were more appropriate for their age, whereas the older students were in scenes about electromagnetism and force, again, more appropriate to their age. So everybody learnt their specific part, which was about an aspect of physics and an aspect of E equals MC squared. And that's the way that we've designed it, is that the different scenes can be tied in with different experiments you might do in the classroom or different aspects of curriculum that's appropriate to a certain age. So they all learnt more about their specific focus area, but also by being part of the whole show, they have access to all that knowledge that the other students are also learning at the same time.
Entering Holland as a refugee, here I set up my new laboratory. With her nephew Frisch, she continued to work.
This was really a whole of community event, given that there's only a few hundred people in Hopevale and 120 or so of those are students at the school. And then if you include their parents and extended families, you're pretty much straight away including the whole community. One of the real highlights was we invited a group of elders who have a singing group. They sing in the Guguyumita language, which is the language of Hopevale, and they contributed to the musical by translating part of one of the songs into Guguyumita and then singing that on the night.
Ganu Mangal Diganu Dawargal Uturbi.
It's been really extraordinary working on this project over the last year because I've seen the growth of these students and the community in terms of the understanding of the science, but also in building capabilities around performing arts and public speaking and performing in front of peers and in front of the whole community. So it's building understanding about science, but it's also tapping into the natural abilities of the students and their teachers. And it's actually great to see teachers and family members and elders on stage performing alongside these students because it's a really powerful expression of community engagement.
We are the women of science. We stand in defiance. As sisters we resist. We form an alliance. We are the women of science. We're breaking our silence.
There's a song towards the end of the musical that's called Women in Science, and it's a hip-hop song where women who have contributed greatly to science but have gone relatively unacknowledged are celebrated. So there's Émilie du Châtelet, Marianne Lavoisier and Lisa Meitner, and their contributions are celebrated through that song. And it's a gesture towards evening up some of that inequality, because that's also an important part in inspiring young girls to go on and study science as well. We felt that that was a really important part of the show to include. The feedback from the performance, which was just a few days ago now, has been really positive from community. We've got a wonderful staff member, Cheryl Cannon, who is based in Hopevale. She's been gathering feedback from students and teachers and parents, and overwhelmingly, they want to see the musical happen again as soon as possible.
My name is Shanae Cannon.
Okay, what did you like about being in the show last week?
Being Einstein's wife, to support Albert with his ideas.
Did you know anything about Einstein before the show?
Not really.
But you learned more during the show?
Yep.
Has it made you more curious about science?
Yes.
In what way?
Learning how people came up with ideas and how they figured out E equals MC squared.
Hello, my name is Jaren,
And you like being in that show on Friday?
yeah, it taught me a lot of stuff about science and
Did you know about Einstein before the show?
during the show.
When you were practicing?
Yeah.
Okay. And you want to know more about him, you think?
Yeah, I want to know more about Einstein.
So would you go in the play again?
Yeah, I would like to go in the play again, but I'm off to high school next year, and yeah.
So that's really fantastic. And I think the feedback has been that it was a really powerful performance. There was obvious gains in terms of student confidence, but also there was an expression that came from many parents that they understood the science from having their children rehearse it over many weeks. We intend to do this musical every couple of years as part of the Aussie science curriculum that we have developed. But it's also something that we can imagine could happen in other schools as part of their family engagement approach. In fact, there's a school in Sydney that will be performing it next year. But we also imagine that it's something that other schools may want to include as part of their science curriculum because of the great benefits it brings to the learning.
Chris Cohen, thank you so much for taking the time to talk.
Great. Thanks, Carl.
We live in a dumb, invisible world.
Chris Conn of Good to Great Schools Australia, and we were at Hope Vale, way north of Cooktown, northern Queensland.